Exhibit B, The Human Zoo, Art or Racism? Voice newspaper. Barbican defends the Human Zoo. The Mail Online Human Zoo art exhibition featuring black actors in cages and chains cancelled after protesters block entrance to Barbican. The Independent newspaper. Exhibit B Human Zoo show cancelled by the Barbican following campaigner protests. The Evening Standard. Barbican cancels all performances of Exhibit B after protesters blockade opening show. The Guardian. Slavery exhibition featuring black actors chained in cages shut down.
We did it. We did it. We did it.
Well done.
Thank you.
If we don't make them understand that it is important to us, they will just do what they choose.
I was at the talk yesterday and I sat next to a woman who was in the exhibition in Paris, and she told me that he was a misogynist racist. That was her own words. She was in it, and so then they've had actors who were in it who were saying, oh, he's not racist, but then this is a woman who was in it. She was offended by it, and she said he's a racist. So,
What are they doing?
giving this guy a platform for his racism.
And today we've come to say to the Barbican, which is a white institution, funded with our money, that in the 21st century, a group of white people with one token black person, actually is Sir Trevor Phillips, with a group of white artists from South Africa, to decide they're going to educate us and the broader community about their own pain. And then when we challenge this artist, he says we're an angry mob. Well, I guess for some white people inside, many black people get together, even if we're praying or partying, that will be an angry mob. And we come here today to say to Brett Bailey, you don't see an angry mob yet, because we're a disciplined people. And it's the old racism that is determined and delineated us as an angry mob. And then he said we're calling for a ban, and that was undemocratic in a democratic society. Well, we may be in a first-class democracy, but we still remain third-class citizens as a consequence of racism, such as we've seen here in the Barbican. And on the 23rd, we'd like to gather so many numbers as to cause a roadblock. Are you with me? So we say to the Barbican that their white privilege, with their all white board and their all white South African artists, must listen to the majority black community here in the United Kingdom, white anti-racists and others, joining us in a mass protest to say that this is a racist exhibition. If you don't know the name of Otto Benga, who knows the name of Otto Benga? This is a reflection of that human zoo we had by the King Leopold, the arch-racist and colonialist of Belgium, who chopped up our people's hands when they've been collecting up rubber from the rubber plantation. He put our people in human zoos, and they want to recreate that. So we say no to the human zoo. We say yes to humanity. We say no to racism. We say yes to equality. And we say, Barbican, Barbican, shame on you. No more humans.
I'm here today because I'm totally against this exhibition. It's absolutely degrading, it's humiliating, it has no place at all in today's society, particularly not in London. I don't know what people are thinking that they will bring this exhibition to London and in this underground chamber.
Right, so you've come to the demonstration against Exhibition B. What's happening?
Well, I'm one of the helping to organise the protest, and we've just had several hundred people at the protest against the Exhibit B, and they've basically had to shut it because there's been that many people turned up to oppose it. So they've shut the doors. They can't deal with the amount of people that are down there. Now they're called a big police presence as usual. But anyway, the point of no show will go on has definitely been made.
Well, my name's Latoya Smith. and I got involved in a campaign as soon as I saw it. I have some knowledge about the human zoo. I have a lot of thorough knowledge on my history, so I was immediately outraged. And so when I looked at, you know, his reasons for doing it, it's for educational reasons and it's to make people feel uncomfortable, I was thinking, who to feel uncomfortable? Who's to feel uncomfortable in it? Because I only see that there's only black people taking part in the exhibition. I thought, you know what, this needs to be stopped ASAP.
This is so wrong on so many levels. I think the Barbican's next exhibition should be by Adolf Hitler as an artist before he became dictator and would be world leader.
So many people whom we spoke with about this exhibition were really appalled and horrified at the suggestion that this was happening at all or could even be classified as art. They believed it was racist and offensive to everyone belonging to the African race. Now, on the other side, the artist felt that there were many people who would have really liked to have watched this exhibition, and he called it art and couldn't see what was wrong with it. Some went as far as calling for it to be shut down as an act of censorship. Can you explain to those who thought it was okay why the majority of people of African descent may have felt that it was offensive?
Because throughout our lives as black people, all we are perceived to on the media and in movies is that we're just victimised slaves, and we're victimised and we've got chains around our necks, and at the end of the day there's other sides to our history that is not, it's not portrayed. So we found it insulting specifically because it's an insult to our ancestors and their legacy. This is not something they wanted to happen. They were forced into doing this. This was the law. This went on for hundreds of years. This is not something you can masquerade and put as art.
One of the biggest claims that was made by the protesters was that the exhibition was racist.
I looked at it and I was thinking that this is racist. It is objectifying black people. It's hard to get roles and stuff like that. And then they put this on, and you've got young maybe people who are a bit naive. I suppose they do it of their own accord, but it isn't the right way. It's not the right way forward. And also it's aimed at European middle class Europeans. The tickets are £20.
Actually get a sadistic kick from seeing black bodies so pornographically disempowered. And this is a common theme. Does everyone remember the Swedish culture minister eating the clitoris of her coon cake a few years ago? Everybody remember that? That was supposed to provoke discussion too.
I was at the talk yesterday and I sat next to a woman who was in the exhibition in Paris, and she told me that he was a misogynist racist. That was her own words. She was in it, and so then they've had actors who were in it who were saying, he's not racist, but then this was a woman who was in it. She was offended by it, and she said he's a racist. So you know what I mean? They can't do this in London. This is London. They can't do this.
All I keep hearing is it's going to open up a debate. I want to know what that debate is.
They're only interested in subjugation. That's what it is as well. You see that when it comes to the Western media now, it's slave trade. Yeah, the slave trade happened. We know it happened. Colonialism, we know it happened. But there's stuff before that. They're only interested in the subjugation of black people, and then you start to see this pattern, which is it starts to perpetuate certain ideals.
It's not a joke. It went on for years. This was the law. This was terror for people.
At what point do you think art oversteps the boundaries to be called art?
I think it overstepped the boundaries. For me, I couldn't get over the fact that there was real live black actors with chains around their neck. I just thought, my God, do you want money that bad? Do you have no integrity? Do you not know your history? Are you not passionate about your history?
As for the minds of the black people that will allow their bodies to be used in this way, or have come out in support of this, well, many have written entire books on it. Let's start with Frantz Fanon for starters.
Do you think the Barbican understands racism, or at least the hurt commissioning this piece of work has caused?
The Barbican does not understand racism, and it does not understand the hurt that's been aroused by this at all, because it's not something they relate to. They can't relate to it because it was not them. And we asked the Barbican a few times, what does racism mean to you? And they can't tell you what racism is, yet they're putting on an anti-racist exhibition.
prior to the launch of this exhibition, discussions were held between protesters and the Barbican to explain the depths of the hurt and injury to feelings that knowledge of this exhibition was causing. Do you think the Barbican Centre listened or seriously took on board the concerns raised?
The Barbican did not listen to us. They did not take on board the concerns raised, because even when we did a protest outside the Barbican on the 13th of September 2014, where we were promised that a senior member of the board was going to take our petition, and we come to find that they told us to give it to head of security. So that shows their lack of empathy then to what we're talking about. Later on, to then find out that a senior member of the board was actually at the protest, or standing on the balcony. So what does that say to you? They don't care. They just want their money. They're not even caring. They're not even thinking about the people on the receiving end. Just because they've got a few actors that are agreeing to it, they do not talk for the whole black community.
You know, at the end of the day, I know, the police did that McPherson report and they said, oh, they're institution racist. We could have told them that. You get what? We could have told them that. They didn't need to do a report. So it's the same thing with this. The Barbican have to admit that they, as an institution, are racist. So they can't make decisions on, do you get what I mean, on ideals of racism, because they come in from a supremacist mindset where they're saying that certain people are better than others. And you know, all they've got to do is admit it, look at it, and then change. That's all. We ask them nicely. You get me? They shouldn't make us have to put so much energy into something like this, because there's more important things that we need to be, you know what I mean? And then just because of this, they're not taking into consideration 23,000 people are stupid. Is that what they're trying to say?
But I do know injustice when I see it. I do know the signs of white supremacy reasserting itself in a community which claims that we are post-racism. That's why they do what they do, because they think we are post-racism. Because we're not burning the streets anymore. Because we're not rioting anymore. Because we have a brother in the White House. Because we have a few brothers flexing blood. They think and they believe that we are post-racism. So our art is okay. They can show us in any form they choose. No big thing. Because guess what? We're over it. Are you over it?
They don't understand the scale of how much, the psychological damage it can rise doing this exhibition. So it's not just the surface where you're just looking at people in a cage. You're looking at a whole history of hundreds of years that people are just tucking it away and just telling you, oh, it's art, or, oh, it was in the past, Yeah, that's not good enough at the end of the day. The legacy still lives on today.
We, our parents, our grandparents, came to this country, and in half a century, we defined Britain's history. Arriving by ships enthusiastically, we were greeted by the mist and the grey of the sea. The bitter cold of the winter season was nothing compared to the ice-cold freezing attitude of those in this country, full of hatred and hostility. Greeted by signs of keep Britain white, we'd come unprepared for a fight.
the staff of the Barbican. I took a moment to look at the people who were walking by who may not be aware of what. And I was reminded of why the Barbican feels they're at liberty to ignore 21,000 people because they don't care. It don't mean nothing to them. It is unimportant to them. If we don't make them understand that it is important to us, they will just do what they choose.
How can the Barbican make good the hurt that has been caused by this?
I don't believe the Barbican can make good the hurt that was caused by this, because they've practically shown no interest of concern about what we're saying from the get-go. You know, 23,000 signatures had been signed saying, no, this is offensive, this is racist, and they still went ahead with it.
Institutionalised racism sadly going on TV shows, drama that belittle Irish people, black people, other ethnicities, and we need to stand together. This campaign is going to tell us that we've got to kill institutionalised racism once and for all.
Barbican is funded by taxpayers' money. I pay taxes, and you know they're funding and they're putting on exhibitions that are racist, and then telling a black community that it's not racist. So they can't make good from this hurt. They've turned around and propagated lies about the protests. You know, after we've come and had peaceful protests with them, we've had meetings with them, and all they've done is thrown it back in our faces that we're an angry mob at the protest after they ignored 23,000 people. I do see racism operating in the UK. It might not be as blatant or in your face as it used to be, but it's definitely there. It's definitely alive, thriving. For example, the stop and searches, the deaths in police custody. You know how they propagate the protesters in the media. You know how they put us that we're an angry mob when we were just banging drums. So I do think it's very, very present, racism in the UK, definitely. But it's very, very psychological and subliminal to the point where people don't even realise. There was a nice passionate vibe there, there was a passionate glow there. We were all very loving to one another. We were expressing love and unity. It was quite a nice event to be at. The protest was very peaceful. It was a very nice, passionate, unifying event. It was very musical. We were dancing. We were kind of just trying to get our point across, as peaceful as we could. The misrepresentation that the media has been showing to all the people around the world that wasn't there is actually an insult, because it was a peaceful protest. That little 10-second snippet of the barrier falling down, you just want to show that bit. Someone tripped and, barrier fell down. We're all trying to keep our balance. They've used that to now propagate around the world that we're an angry mob and that the actors' lives are at stake. That's a lie. The protest was peaceful. It was unifying, and it was very empowering for us to come together, especially in a situation like this when we're defending our ancestors.
What do you think made this campaign successful?
I believe what made this campaign successful is just our drive, our passion for it to, we're just adamant that, this show just should not go on, because as far as I'm concerned, 23,000 signatures have been signed. We've got black organisations that add up to another million, and you've got us, who's there on the front line, saying this is wrong. To expect that we're just going to stand aside and just bang pickets on the floor and just be like, just be ignored basically. This was successful because of our passion and our drive.
Clegg, the Deputy Prime Minister, said that we cannot shield ourselves from what has happened in the past, and in the present we cannot close down public displays or exhibitions, no matter how harsh or ugly it is. Otherwise, it is censorship. Children need to be educated with respect to the impact of racism. How do you think comments like this, made by senior political figures in the UK, should be interpreted?
I think is quite penalising, to be honest with you, because when he says children need to be educated about the history of the past, you know what, just as the receiving end. So for example, if I take my nephew to the human zoo and he looks at another black man in a cage with a chain around his neck, how is that educating for him? How is that educating him to, how is he going to walk out of that exhibition with his head held high, feeling proud of who he is, if you're just going to keep showing him as a victim? And if you're going to educate children and the other people need to be educated, we need to be educated about the perpetrators behind it. These are the people that have caused this stuff to happen. You know, that is the real education.
I've lived in this country since my birth, so we're talking over 30 years. I've never had any black history education in school. I work in schools now and it's lacking, and then people think it's okay to do things like this. So to me it's a problem, it's a concern. Children are not learning about what real black history is. This is not a way of teaching at all, it's disgusting.
What lessons do you think we can all learn from this campaign and maybe apply to other campaigns in the future?
Okay, the lessons we can learn from this campaign, the lesson that Brett Bailey can learn from this campaign is to consult people of the community that you're talking about, especially when it's not your own community. So you need to be doing surveys. You know, if you're going to do such a controversial, sensitive subject like racism, you need to be looking at all angles, not just what you feel you want to portray.
Off the back of this really successful campaign, do you think it provides people of African descent living here in the UK with a glimmer of hope that in pursuit for justice, they can get justice here in the UK?
The success of this petition does highlight the fact that your voices can be heard. If you've got that sheer determination and that passion alongside with all the others that think the same as you, then it will become a success.
Showed up, we brought the noise and we shut it down. We won.
23,000 signatures, and 3 demonstrations later.
And we've done it.
It's all
we've
well.
done it. We have victory. We've done it. We won.
Exhibit B, the Human Zoo, Art or Racism? The Voice newspaper. Barbican defends the Human Zoo. The Mail Online Human Zoo art exhibition featuring black actors in cages and chains cancelled after protesters block entrance to Barbican. The Independent newspaper. Exhibit B Human Zoo show cancelled by the Barbican following campaigner protests. The Evening Standard. Barbican cancels all performances of Exhibit B after protesters blockade over
third-class citizens as a consequence of racism, such as we've seen here in the Barbican. And on the 23rd, we'd like to gather so many numbers as to cause a roadblock. Are you with me? So we say to the Barbican that their white privilege, with their all white board and their all white South African artists, must listen to the majority black community here in the United Kingdom, white anti-racist and others.
show. The Guardian. Slavery exhibition featuring black actors chained in cages shut down.
We did it. We did it. We did it.
Well done.
Thank you.
If we don't make them understand that it is important to us, they will just do what they choose.
I was at the talk yesterday and I sat next to a woman who was in the exhibition in Paris, and she told me that he was a misogynist racist. That was her own words. She was in it, and so then they've had actors who were in it who were saying, oh, you know, he's not racist, but then this is a woman who was in it. She was offended by it, and she said he's a racist. So, you know,
What are they doing?
giving this guy a platform for his racism.
And today we've come to say to the Barbican, which is a white institution, funded with our money, that in the 21st century, a group of white people with one token black person, actually is Sir Trevor Phillips, with a group of white artists from South Africa, And then when we challenge this artist, he says we're an angry mob.